Hey, what's up, y'all? This is AJ.
This is Brice.
And we are
Filter, No Filter Brothers.
And today's show is our recap of season 3.
A recap.
Yes, a recap. So we finished season 3. We have 11 shows. And we're going to kind of culminate this segment with talking about each show and kind of rehashing this year, which has been pretty interesting.
Very, very, very much so interesting. It was a very hectic season.
COVID.
Blame it on COVID.
Yeah.
Someone should have that song, Blame It on COVID. You know how you blame it on the rain?
Right.
Blame it on COVID.
We should do one.
Yeah.
Blame it on COVID.
Wrong key.
COVID.
COVID.
Blame it on COVID.
Did you really just do that?
Yeah, I did.
I can't even believe
That's my alter ego. I really want to be
well,
a
that
singer.
alter ego need to be killed twice. Wow.
Can somebody come and teach me how to sing, please?
Teach them.
So anyway, we started season 3 off a long time ago.
Well, it wasn't that long. It was last October.
True.
And I think we had a very nice season because we actually went on vacation.
Yeah, we did.
We went on vacation.
We went to Pigeon Forge.
We did. We went to Pigeon Forge with our friends.
Yep.
We actually have friends that we hang out with.
Some of them are not friends anymore.
Well, yeah, we had to get rid of some. Some baggage you don't want to keep around.
Right. So we went to Pigeon Forge in a cabin with friends, so you know how interesting that could be.
And we're just joking when we say we got rid of some baggage.
Yeah, we still have those friends. But that session or that segment was friends, how many of us have them? And so we talked about friendships, which is important.
Friendships, I think if anything else out of COVID, friendship has been one thing that I think a lot of people have really realized how important friends are. Because COVID made a lot of people very separated. We didn't have any social gatherings, so a lot of people didn't have that. But we weren't literally listening to all the COVID regulations, per se, because we were hanging out a lot with just our own small circle.
Yeah, and that was good because a couple of us actually caught COVID, me being one of them, over Christmas break.
Yep.
But I didn't give it to anybody in our group.
You did not. And a lot of people didn't even know. There was like 3 people in our group who actually caught COVID, and I actually was probably the one who kept all the secrets.
Oh, God.
So it was kind of like I knew who had COVID. We made sure
Yes, she did.
Made every
Well, mine wasn't a secret. It was like,
yes, it was.
You didn't know?
No.
He didn't tell nobody.
wow.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I kept everybody information to them. To myself.
Actually, when I found out, you was the one that said something about it, and I got mad at him.
Yeah, I look, I wasn't hiding the fact that I got COVID. I got it. I took it home because I went home for Christmas. And it was 10 people in the house over Christmas, and 7 of them got it.
Right.
And the interesting part is that we all had the same exact symptoms. We had chills for 24 hours, and then we had a cough for 2 weeks, and that was it. So we were really blessed to have that and not anything worse.
Did your mom get it too?
My mom got it.
Wow.
She had the symptoms first, which is she's older, so she called me on a Wednesday. It was like, oh, I'm not feeling well, I got the chills, whatever. I got the chills the next day. But I know I'm the one who traveled, so I know that I bought it there. So, anyway, but they still love me regardless of that.
Yes.
Well,
AJ,
that's
right.
family.
Yeah.
And our friends. Knowing the ones who actually caught COVID and went through it. Everyone was very healthy through their COVID situation. And we can say that most of the people in our individual circles, all who caught COVID, all came through fine.
And that's a blessing. But that episode was really about the do's and don'ts of friendship. You know, friendship is really important. And there's some things you do and some things you don't do. And hopefully the things that you don't do, that you've already done, that you learn from those mistakes and you keep your friendships.
And if you say you're friends, that means that you're going to have some arguments and disagreements. But always go back and make sure that you're cool with them after that situation. So
Right.
That's the one thing.
Right. And then there's some people who just are not worthy of your friendship and, you know, they just don't need to be in your circle.
That is true.
You know, so...
But those are associates.
I know, but it's okay to, you know, because when you're going through a friendship, you're getting to know people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you may call them friends at this point, but when they behave in a certain way
When
and
they show who they really are.
don't want to listen to correction or feedback, then sometimes it's time to just let them go.
Yeah, don't waste your energy.
So I mean, that friend segment was a good one because we had a lot of our friends in it.
A lot of our friends. I think it was probably 10 of us.
Yeah.
That were down at the cabin.
Yep.
Had a wonderful time.
And it was no sex involved.
No, none of us sleep with each other in our
Right.
friend circle.
Yeah, it wasn't that kind of cabin party.
Well, somebody was after Brian. Damn.
Well, that was one person who was in the cabin.
Brice. It was after Brice.
Oh, really? Okay. Then our next show, we moved to The Lies After Trump. This is when Trump got booted out of office. The people showed out and showed up.
Well, we didn't do a show after they tried to take over the whole government.
No,
but
we didn't.
It's interesting now in hindsight how we did one like after Trump, not knowing that was going to happen, but we were already projecting that people were going to act crazy.
But you know what? We need to do another show on that because it's not over.
Well,
He think he's going to be reinstated.
Well,
In August.
there's some people thinking, in August, thinking he's going to be
back.
back in office in August, and I don't understand where they're getting the
And
information
you
from.
know that's why gun sales are so high.
Very much so.
Especially in the African American community.
Yes.
Gun sales are high.
They're-
I mean, we all went and got certified to carry.
That's right. Most of the people in our circle went
Right.
to a class together
Right.
to carry, and which was, I have to tell everyone, it was quite interesting for me. This is Brice speaking. That was my first time ever holding a gun.
You did
as
a good
black
job.
man.
And you did well.
Did real
You
good.
shot the target.
I shot the target right, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I was impressed. I was
You
terrified.
learned in the
I was
class?
freaking out on my way to the range.
Not needed at all.
Yeah,
You
I
did
was
good
really,
job.
really
You
scared.
passed
but
your
I
written
passed.
assessment?
Well, that was easy. I knew I was going to do that part.
Okay.
Book part is easy. That whole thing with the gun was freaking me out in my head.
See, my military experience, I've shot many a guns. And then I grew up in the hood, so we used to find them all the time.
You found the neighborhood gun?
Yeah, we found the gun with bodies on it.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Okay.
And then we played with it. But, Lives After Trump was an interesting segment where we talked about, just all of the lies and, that's still continuing today. I think he didn't lose the election. And you know what? I don't understand why Congress, why our government is still letting this man disrupt our country.
Well, it's two things. You can look at it from both sides. You have to appreciate the fact that we're in the United States of America where you have freedom of speech. So you have to have that part because, we both have traveled all over the world. And, you go to places in the world where there is no freedom of speech. So we have to appreciate that part of it.
No,
Although,
I wish they don't give him freedom of speech.
well, I think this is where the whole thing where certain people should be held to a different standard because of his office that he had. That he's very influencing people.
But we saw what he influenced on the 6th of January.
Well, we see that
He
now.
influenced a mob. It was a mob.
Right. Because we know if there were people of color,
They
there
would have
been-
all been
it
mowed
would have been a
down,
bunch
shot,
of, it would have
all
been a
of
bunch
that.
of dead
Right.
people on the steps.
And they let this mob of people, Trump supporters, go in. They broke in, had our Congress people running for their lives,
Running for their lives.
trying to kill Nancy
And several people
Pelosi.
lost their lives.
Right, trying to kill Nancy Pelosi. And then Trump even set them out for his vice president.
Now that's
It
what's
was
deep.
like, how dirty is that?
As dirty as you can
You
get.
the president and you tell them
Take out
that
the
he
vice
better
president.
do what he's supposed to do.
Or to killing.
I mean, that is like, I just can't even explain. I can't call what I really want to call him over the air.
Well,
because
and
it's
like
just crazy.
you're saying you want to recap that. I just want to totally just forget about it.
Right, but
and
he's
learn
like a
from it.
rash. He just keeps coming back.
Well, like
Okay.
right now, he done took over the Republican Party, basically. And so nothing's changed. It's going to change right now.
True. And let me tell you. So here's my statement for 2021. I probably have a lot of Republican views.
As do I.
And I would be a Republican if it wasn't for the Republicans in their racist agenda.
Okay, say that again because I don't
I
think
said
people
I
heard
would
that.
be a Republican if it wasn't for the current Republicans. Because I do believe a lot of their ideologies. But I don't believe the racist piece. So it's some issues that I have a problem
Well,
with.
what people don't understand is that back in the day, most black people were Republicans. Republicans were for more black people when it first was established. That's why it's the party of Lincoln. and then it just totally switched around.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it did.
so a lot of more conservative, or what they would say more conservative black people, more Christians, probably would fall more into a Republican demographic more so than not. But
Right.
because of everything else now, that's thrown out the window now.
But the Republicans have to take witness that the foolery that you have going on now is making people not join your party, especially people of color, and making people not, share your views.
Right.
And so if you're going to be relevant in 2024, 2022, you need to change quick, fast, and
Well, they don't want the black vote anyway, or people of color vote.
But that's what they saw this term. They
They
saw
don't want
that. And if they don't want it, then they're not going to be in existence.
That is true.
And so we'll see in 2022. But Lies After Trump was an interesting segment, just about him and all of his shenanigans. And then what came out this week about him, that he actually,
Had
the Department of
Justice
Justice
doing
did
background
background
into
check,
people
their
backgrounds
Apple accounts, right?
and not only the
It was the
senators,
Democrats,
it was
yeah.
the families and the kids. It was everybody's accounts just to try to dig
I
up
just want him to
information.
go to jail. Can somebody, New York, can you please step up and
She working on it.
Put Trump in jail where he needs to be. He was the most corrupt. I mean, I just want him to
I don't
sit.
understand how it's so hard for them to do what they need to do, because he's worse than Nixon.
Yeah. worse than
So,
Nixon.
and I just don't understand it, but that's because they are covering up a lot.
And what really gets me, because I work with some people who are Trump supporters, and I have conversations with them. And I'm like, how can you support someone who has done all the things that he has done? And I think that they just are oblivious to what he's really doing to our country. Or they just letting it happen.
I think they're just letting it happen. Because I find myself defriending a lot of my friends that are Republicans and supported Trump.
Have you tried to have a conversation with them before you defriend them?
The conversation just didn't go the right way, and I just didn't want to be bothered with it.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think I would do the same thing if I couldn't reason with them. So my assistant is actually a Trump supporter, and so we talk about Trump. And he never has a valid comeback to the things that I say to him.
No, most of them don't.
Most of them won't.
But it doesn't change his ideology. And I'm trying to understand him to say, well, why are you supporting this? Why are you supporting, a person who caused an insurrection?
Right.
That's just one of the many things that he's done. But anyway, life after Trump, we do have a life after Trump. And, 2022 is coming, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens from that point. Our next show was interesting. Overweight lovers in the house.
Wow. That was a very candid interview we had with that, because for most people, you're trying to figure out what makes people tick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always trying to figure out the why.
Yeah, because you're a counselor. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was asking the questions because you have what society say is a attractive African American, and you try to shoot your shot, and then they shoot you down, and they tell you the story that they like big people, but you're thinking they just shooting you down just to shoot you down, and come to find out that truly is
no. So that was
what
Jason,
they want.
And Jason is a cutie. He's handsome, according to that.
attractive,
Yeah.
handsome,
And he's even
Carmel.
He's just
Brother.
He's just really straightforward with what he likes.
Yes.
And he has no qualms.
That even
about,
made him sexier.
Exactly. He has no qualms about. He won't mess with somebody under 249.
Right, that's true.
No, it's actually 250.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's what we said, 249.
Yeah, he likes 250 and above. So
Now,
249,
maybe I can
he's
do
not gonna mess
my
with.
reapproach, because I'm hovering right at 200 right now. I'm still nowhere
well, you
near.
better keep eating.
I got to keep eating, but I'm nowhere near it.
Well, the other problem, your ankles and your legs and your thighs will not make it.
Why not?
Whoa, whoa,
Because
whoa.
he say he like big thighs,
I don't
Okay.
have that.
big legs.
Uh-huh.
No.
Have you seen his?
Yeah, I got bird
Yeah,
legs.
he got skinny legs.
Yeah, I got skinny
Yeah,
legs.
Brice has skinny legs.
Yeah.
So Jason likes big legs, big thighs, and big ankles.
Right, right.
And
he means big when he say it.
And how interesting is that?
Like he talked about when he was even little, he liked the chubby girls.
Right.
And he would buy them snacks as
so
a
they
kid.
can get bigger.
So they can. I mean, it was just a very candid and just open conversation.
But I'm
that
sure
was
it's
real.
more people out there.
It's a lot because you know something. I have talked with a person, and when I told them I was on a journey again to lose weight, they was like, "Don't lose it.
You're right.
I want you just like you are." And it's like, no, because it's health issues for me, you know.
Right.
But a lot of people that do like big guys, they don't want them losing weight.
True.
They want them to be big.
But that's them.
Yeah.
You have to do what the person wants. If
Right,
the
for the
person wants to
individual.
lose weight, it's really about them.
Right.
And if you really love them, you're going to love them regardless whether they're older,
Right.
fatter, thinner.
And just
you're gonna
because
love them for
someone
who they are.
just because someone is bigger does not mean they're not healthy. They can be bigger
True.
and healthier than
Yeah.
someone who's not.
Yeah, that is true.
So
That is
don't
true.
let that fool you far as saying that just because someone's big, they're not necessarily healthy.
Right, but the overweight lover in the house, that was a good segment. That
That
was
was.
very enlightening. You know, there's someone out there for everybody.
Everybody.
And you just need to find your person.
Right. Because there's somebody out there for everybody.
So if you're big, you know, you have a shot out there.
Right.
There's people who are looking for you.
And I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. If you're big and you looking for someone, hey, send us your information and we'll pass it on to Jason. Maybe
True, 'cause
Maybe he's still looking.
Wait, there's actually a club that big brothers are in. What's the name of that club, Lo?
The
What
Bear
club is
Club.
that? Black Bear Brotherhood.
Black Bear Brotherhood. Okay.
So if you are big and you want to join a club of like-minded individuals, then Google the Black Bear Brotherhood.
Actually, we have a Facebook page. It's called Black Bear Brotherhood United.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks. See, you are a wealth of information.
Right, there you go.
So go to that website and check it out. Join it. They do activities in support of brothers who are on the larger side.
And people that like them.
Right.
Like Brice,
True.
AJ.
And so then we move to our next show.
What is the next show?
Can a straight guy be had
You know,
as a friend?
well, and that was the key thing because a lot of people in our community think they can always turn someone gay.
You to think that. You think every man can be had. Hey, that's you.
Well, I believe in shooting your shot. I'm okay with getting shot down, but you know you got to shoot your shot. So, but we had a very interesting.
But it wasn't even about that.
No, it wasn't about
can
friendship.
A straight guy be had as a friend?
As a friend,
And we came to the conclusion that it's a yes.
it's a big time yes.
You know, I have a friend who's married, and there's nothing romantic about it, and he's straight.
Yep.
And he doesn't mind. He's comfortable in his skin where he can go places, and his wife is comfortable enough to allow him to go
Exactly.
places.
And then we have mutual different friends, but mutual situations where we both have straight friends who can hang out and do all that kind of stuff. They're not worried about anything like that. And you know, as long as people know that it's just a friendship and you don't cross that line.
And that's the thing. If you are gay out there, you can't turn a straight man. He
No.
is what he is.
Right.
Just like you are who you are.
Exactly.
So don't be approaching everybody thinking you can have them, because you can't.
No make a difference how fine you think you are.
Right. That's what get people.
And just
bashed.
have real friendships. 'Cause I think a lot of people who are gay feel like they can't have straight friends, and you're missing out. You're really missing out on a lot of different people in the world just trying to stay within a gay community.
Exactly, because nowadays, you know, a lot of straight people are okay with gay, lesbian,
Right.
you know, so, you know, it's okay to mix in that environment.
Right.
Then we went to another show. It was called Living Single, and we had our guest Milton Couture. He talks about his journey of being a mature brother and single.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, and how you got to navigate through that different space. That's a
Yeah.
whole different space, and it is difficult as you get older. And we even dabble with the thing of why, as you get older, you tend to have more younger people try to date you.
Oh yeah.
And that whole,
They like daddies.
and we were trying to figure out, was it a whole daddy thing?
Daddies
like
and mommies.
Did they have someone in their life that they were trying to replace? Were you the father figure, or were they just liking older people? And we talked about that whole dynamic, and it was informative for our audience. We had a lot of response back on that particular
I mean,
topic.
everybody wants to feel safe and secure. And parents, if it's a healthy relationship, they make their kids feel safe. And so everybody's looking for that.
Now-
whether you're gay, straight, or not.
Now, one thing is it in our community, we find an age difference can be from 20-year span, and then are larger. And then you look at what we can say regular straight world, where you can have an older man with a younger female,
Yep,
and it's
it
perfectly fine
It
now.
happens,
And
yeah.
so I think you just got to find your happiness.
Exactly. We went on to our next show, that Boys That Play Together Stay Together, part 1. Remember that?
Woo.
And
Boy.
let me see. It was Ed and Corey. They talked to us about being in a relationship,
They actually have a beautiful relationship.
and they're 16 years apart.
No,
Well, no.
Right?
They've been together.
They've been
now.
together for 16
Oh,
years.
Been together
together.
for
I
16
think they're like
Yeah.
2 years apart.
Yeah,
2
they're
or 3
close
years
to
together.
years. Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Are they still together?
They are currently still together.
Okay, good, good.
They are together.
So, I mean, I guess whatever works for them.
Well, they know how to play in the sandbox together.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they set ground rules
Okay.
about what they're going to do if they bring someone in, and it's not like a every week thing. It's kind of like very random now because they're more focused on themselves. But just to add a little spice.
And if you're out there, talk to your partner, because they may be having those feelings of bringing somebody else into the relationship, or just need somebody. That 80-20 rule is real.
Mm-hmm.
You are only going to be 80% of that person, what they want and what they need. And sometimes they want to go and get that 20%, and they probably do it whether it's behind your back or in your face. And so by having that open dialogue, you may have even a stronger, healthier relationship.
And what's interesting, I just had someone ask me that question last week about, do I believe in having an open relationship or a threesome? And I said, I'm not too keen on an open relationship. I would be open to having a threesome, but not in the same city in which I would live in.
But you know what? That's going to be one of our shows for season 4. Just talking about polyamorous and open relationships.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna
having that conversation.
We're gonna jump all in that
Because
pool.
let me tell you, there's so many couples out there that's doing some interesting things, and I think it's worth talking about
Definitely
to
worth
see
talking about.
what's out there.
If it works for them.
Right. We went on to Deja Vu. We had our guests, Officer John and Officer Chuck, and they were from a Midwest police department, and they were discussing the recent shootings of unarmed black men.
Right, and we called it deja vu because deja vu was just something happening over and over again.
Right.
And that was just, we were almost on the anniversary of
George Floyd.
when we did that broadcast, and we had another incident very similar. And we keep seeing the same thing over and over again. And I don't know how society think that you can keep hitting someone in the head until they hit you back. And I think that's where we are as a black community, that we're tired of seeing the same things. And so now we can say, we got the jury came back and found him guilty on all counts. So that was a big win. But that was just one win.
Right.
One win
Right.
of so many
There's
losses.
hundreds and thousands of cases where the police body cams were not available, and the truth never really
Right.
came out.
And so they gave us a little background on the whole Blue Lives.
Exactly. And how they're African American, and how they kind of take a stance.
Yes.
Even in their own departments.
Right.
Which is important. It's important to be true to yourself and true to your community. I mean, we need police. I'm not for defunding the police. I think they should have all the support that they need to keep us safe. But I do think that they could benefit, a lot of the police force can benefit from some additional training on diversity
Big time.
You know, and I think
Well, I think part of the thing, I think they really need to examine who becomes a police officer.
Yeah.
Because I think the background of what they went through as a child and all that kind of plays a big factor of how they're going to respond to different things. Because you see so many things on YouTube where you see these officers go from 1 to 0, from 1 to 10 so quickly. And where is the de-escalation of any situation coming from the police officer? It's just, they're staring. They're like, wow. I saw one episode where the person was in their own yard and they were telling him he was someone else.
oh yeah.
And it was quite interesting to see how he's telling them, this is his house, this is my name, but the officer was telling him
Is
no.
that the incident of the Harvard professor who was at his house and he got arrested?
No, this was someone else who was just outside,
wow.
about to walk his dog.
Oh wow.
And they told him he was someone else, and he was like, who is this person?
Yeah.
So
it's just sad.
It's very sad, and it's disturbing to see that they take that stance where they don't even give you an opportunity to talk.
And you know, as African Americans, we have trauma from this. You know, when police are driving behind you,
You freak out.
what is the reaction of an African American man? It's like, are you gonna live that day or not? And that's reality.
And that's
every day.
That's a situation that most African Americans go through. Whether you male or female, you don't know at this time. If I get pulled over, am I going to survive?
Exactly.
And that should not be the case.
Let me ask y'all a question. Since we all went to a CCW class, and you know, if once you get your license for your permit for CCW, what happens to a cop drives behind you and they see that you have that permit, so they're going to automatically think you armed and dangerous.
So here's the thing: they know that before they step to the car,
Right.
Because it's attached to your license. So when he runs your tags, it's going to say that you have a CCW. So 9 times out of 10, they will come and ask you, "Are you carrying?" And then you have to say, "Yes, I am carrying."
It's on your body,
Exactly.
or where it's at.
Or no, I'm not carrying, and that conversation can be very different.
Right.
And the thing is that we also have to be accountable for our behavior in those incidents too.
Yeah.
We saw an incident where the guy tried to get away from police
Yes.
for whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
We wasn't there, so we don't know. But what we saw is that a guy was getting handcuffed. He tried to get away and drive away.
Right.
So we have a part in this whole thing.
But I think part of that situation, I think a lot of it is the flight of fear.
Yeah, of course.
And
we've been traumatized, like I said before.
Big time traumatized.
And so this is an important topic. I don't think it's going away today.
No.
But, I think
we definitely will be talking about it in the next season.
Yep. And then we move to, let's see, what was our next part? I'm not a sinner. Because
You're not?
I'm gay. No.
You're not a sinner?
I'm not. God loves me.
Oh, okay.
He created me.
That was
in
very
his
good.
image.
In his image.
In his
image,
right.
we are 100% perfect.
So you know what? I'm not a sinner.
Right.
I'm no more of a sinner than the person next to me.
Right.
Well,
although that's an empty chair, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, that is. So during that episode, we had Reverend Derek Terry. He is the pastor of St. Peter's United Church of Christ in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he talked to us about, just being a leader, being a civil rights and social justice activist. And I think it's important that we have these people
in our community,
and that we have a place where we can worship and not be worried about how people are characterizing us.
Exactly.
Because we get that so much. We definitely don't need that in church. And we need,
you see that what I sent you last week?
Yes, I did.
And that was one reason why I stopped going to my church.
Why?
That's exactly the reason why I stopped. Because what they do, when they see that you have...
Wait, who's they?
The church that he was talking about.
The church that I was talking about.
Okay.
Which is a local mega church.
Right. I was a member of them for... I stopped going there in 2016, and I paid my tithes with no problem, over $300 a month in tithes. And when my daughter came out as liking girls, she she actually wore it on her. She was one of the ones who would wear it on your sleeve. And when they start seeing my Facebook page, I wasn't hiding anything. And they felt it was time to do an intervention and try to pray that demon out of me. And it just didn't work. So
did you let them pray over you?
I let them pray. I let them lay hands and pray for me for a while, and it just got to the point.
More than one instant. Okay.
Yeah, it got to the point that this is just not the home for me, and I had to leave. And I want to go back to church because it's calling me to go back, but it's like I don't want to go to a church that we call gay friendly, and I have to see all these girls and stuff. I just want to go to a church and just be me. Just be me, a man sitting there, even though I like a man, same gender loving person. So them type of churches are kind of like far and few between here in Ohio. But yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people out there looking for church homes, and I just want the listening audience to understand that there are places where you can feel welcome.
Safe harbors.
You have to go and search, just like you would anything else, and find a place where you are comfortable. But there are several churches. You can start with Pastor Terry's church, St. Peter's United Church of Christ, and there's also Truth and Destiny Covenant Ministries with Pastor Leslie Jones. She's been on the show several times, and there's a couple more.
That's like going to the main event.
Well, that we're not going to talk about. So,
Okay.
what was our next podcast?
Let's see. So then we moved on to talk about Diary of a Mad Black Man Part 2.
Whoa. Okay, so that right there, if we go back to, I believe it was in season 1, it may have been season 2 because we have so many shows now. That was one of our top rated shows, and so we had to bring back Michael to do a recap. Because that original podcast was scheduled to be named one thing and it just went a whole nother way. So we just wanted to do a recap of where and what he's doing now. So
Right, and he's single.
Still navigating.
Still mingling and trying to navigate the single life. And, he still has a little bit of baggage from that experience, like most people would. But it was just interesting to get his take on a relationship and understanding how you put so much of yourself in that you lose yourself in a relationship. And so I think
he totally lost himself.
Yeah, I think he learned a lot though from
He's learning.
the podcast.
He's learning. But he got married at a very young age.
Yeah, he did. And
I think it was 23 or 24 when he got married.
You need to make sure you know the person.
And within 6 months.
And some of our advice was, you know what, you were too fast.
Yeah, you were too fast.
You need to take a year
Slow
or
down.
two.
You gotta
to
go through
get to
every
know
season.
them. Exactly. And
I believe in living with them before you marry them because they can't hold a facade up for a whole year.
Nobody can.
Nobody can do that. And then once you're in their space, you're seeing it 24/7.
Right.
So you definitely get to see if this is something you can stay with and deal with.
But some parents be like, y'all not gonna live together before y'all get married.
Well, that same parent wouldn't approve of you being in a same gender relationship in the first place.
That's true.
So
our advice is to test the milk before you buy the cow, and live with them.
The milk may be sour.
It may be sour.
Past its expiration date.
You don't want that
Unless you want some sour
unpasteurized
cream.
milk. Right. So, you
Cottage
definitely have to
cheese.
experience them for the whole year. I think that's both of our
Yeah, I believe in
sentiments. That you see them through all seasons, winter, fall, spring, summer, because people act different during those seasons.
And I hope you don't do it in the seasons that he just named because that was all confusing.
Oh, wait a minute.
That
It was,
confusing.
because I was trying to figure out.
Winter, fall.
Winter,
wasn't-
spring,
it wasn't in
summer,
order,
fall.
but it
you
was
gotta-
all four of them.
But you got to say it in the right season.
Okay, then go ahead and say it.
It would be winter, spring, summer, fall.
That part.
The four seasons.
The four
Yeah,
seasons.
the four seasons.
I don't know. Now the Four Seasons Hotel wouldn't approve of you saying the way you said it. It would be no chocolate on your bed.
They'll take my money though.
Well,
Let
they
me
will.
stay there.
They take that black card.
So that was a Diary of a Mad Black Man Part 2, and then we ended our third season.
And before you go, I think we were really more in the coaching counseling phase towards
Yeah.
the end of this thing because we really went from one to the other. And our last episode was major counseling. Although some people say we jumped around and stuff, but we had to go with the flow.
Right. That was called The Deadly Combination. And it was a 2-part series.
Now, what was the deadly combination?
Sex and drugs.
Mm.
And you know, when you put those two together, it's no telling what you would get. Because your body just reacts differently.
Well, his deadly combination a little bit more than that too. He got into abuse too.
Well, yeah,
but we had
EJ. Hold on, let me describe it. We had EJ, who was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he currently lives in Cincinnati. And let me see. His life was, we talked about sex, drugs, and abuse. And he talked about starting with his family.
And that's where it started.
And how his mom was really abusive to him and his siblings. And then how...
Christian household.
And how they allowed abuse to happen to the kids.
Well, no, they didn't allow that.
Yeah, because they told the mom that the cousin was abusing them, and nothing happened. And so you have to listen to your kids.
And to just sit there, because this is probably a lot of people's reality, is that you had a family member who was grooming someone to take the abuse. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't just grooming one individual, he was grooming siblings.
The brother and a sister, yeah.
And he had them actually looking out for each other while he was doing the abusing. It was just a very unusual, and it may not be unusual, it's just unusual for me to hear it, but it may be a lot of reality for a lot of people.
But some of the feedback I got is that was their life.
Right.
A lot of people have been molested by family members. They've been groomed. They either told or didn't tell. And usually when they tell, it's not in the benefit of the child.
No. They normally don't believe them anyway.
Exactly. And so this happened over a segment of years, which created an adult who is relying on other adults for their happiness. Drugs.
Another adult who's also broken.
Exactly. Or drugs.
Yes.
Trying to mask some of the hurt that they went through.
And that's part of the whole thing of people really realize when you get into that, you take the drugs to numb the pain.
Exactly.
And then when the pain starts coming back, you take the drug again to numb the pain because it starts being real.
Only to realize that in the end of the day, it doesn't do
anything. No. Which makes you go into from one drug to the next drug because you keep trying to numb the pain.
Exactly.
And you gotta work through the pain.
And the benefit is getting to that point where you know that the drugs are not beneficial to you. It takes some people, they understand it instantly.
Yes.
Some people know it before they use the drugs, but then it takes somebody who has that addictive personality a long time to realize.
It may take their whole life.
It may take their whole life.
And when I say take their whole life, it may take their life.
That's true. And so, to our audience out there, if you are using drugs, let me say abusing drugs, because, there's a lot of uses out there. Marijuana is legal now. And, that's a drug.
If you have an addictive personality.
Right. And you are using something that is destructive or harmful to you and your body.
Right.
Why are you using it?
Yes.
What is the root cause of you using it?
And a lot of times, because we were enlightened that a lot of people now are taking heavier drugs as far as sex. They want to use it just to enhance the sex. Mm. And that's a very slippery slope you may be on. So be careful when you're out there trying to have fun that you don't slide down that slope and get stuck.
But the thing is, that really don't give them a lot of happiness either. Because oftentimes they can't even perform on the drug.
Uh-oh. Well.
So you got to be careful of what you're taking and why you're taking it. Mm-hmm. But that was actually our last show of season 3, and we have some great news about season 4.
Season 4.
We have a surprise for y'all.
Do we have a surprise?
We have a surprise.
Well, before we do the surprise, we're going to let Tone talk for a minute. Tone, can you go ahead and tell them all the different platforms that we are currently on?
Sure, I can do that before you give out the big news. We're currently on Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Audible, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Breaker, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
Oh, Google.
You also can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Filter No Filter Brothers. And we would like for you guys, if you have any message to leave us or any comments or any of our shows, please feel free to email us or leave it on one of our posts that's on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, under Filter No Filter Brothers.
Now, you want to tell the book news?
No, you tell it.
I get to tell the big
I'm
news?
not one to gossip.
Okay, well, I'm going to spill the tea. So, now we are moving all of our podcasts over to YouTube. And so you'll be able to catch all of our audio podcasts on YouTube. And that is also under Filter No Filter Brothers.
We're going to be famous.
We're going to be famous. And we're going to be promoting different things and going different ways. And so
You better listen and like us now.
Right.
Before we
And
get too
say
big.
you know us now before we get too big. Although we will not get a big head. Although somebody at the table already have a big head.
But wait,
No.
we also,
Actually, it's two big heads, AJ and Brice.
We're also looking for, we do bookings.
We do bookings.
We'll come to your event and have a conversation with you.
We actually are going to be going to review a production this week. We've been invited. We actually got tickets comped for us to go see a performance and for us to talk about it on the podcast.
So if you're having an event or you have something for us to advertise, then just let us know. Hit our inbox.
And be looking out for our merchandise coming soon.
Exactly. Yep. That is true. So this is AJ.
This is Brice.
And we are
Filter No Filter Brothers.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is AJ.
This is Brice.
And you can find us on multiple platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Audible.
You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We have a new phone number, 513-401-5715, and our email is filternofilterbrothers@gmail.com.
So download, listen, like, and share.